Disclaimer: watch at your own risk. Tonight, we drift into the darkest corners of human history. In the affluent suburbs of Scarborough, Ontario, where manicured lawns hid the rot of human depravity, a golden couple's facade concealed a chamber of horrors that shocked Canada to its core. Their crimes a symphony of rape, murder, and videotaped torment that echoes through decades. Paul Bernardo, the charming accountant with a predatory smile, and his wife Carla Homolka, the veterinary technician with doll-like beauty, became the Ken and Barbie killers, their partnership a twisted pact that claimed lives and shattered innocence. Paul Bernardo's descent began not in shadows, but in the light of privilege. Born in 1964 to a well-off family in Scarborough, his father Kenneth a serial abuser who molested his own daughter and raped a neighbor girl, planting seeds of violence in Paul's psyche. By his teens, Paul was handsome, charismatic, but simmering with rage. At 16, discovering his illegitimacy fueled a hatred for women, whom he blamed for his mother's whore status. At the University of Toronto, he honed his charm, but post-graduation in 1987, as an Amway salesman turned accountant, his dark urges erupted. From May 1987 to December 1990, as the Scarborough rapist, he stalked bus stops and paths, attacking 14 women in explicit assaults that left them broken. His first victim, 21, was dragged into bushes, her clothes ripped off, Bernardo's hands choking her as he raped her vaginally in an alley, semen dripping down her thighs, her screams muffled by his palm. Another, 15, was sodomized so violently, her rectum tore, blood mixing with his fluids as he whispered threat. He escalated, using knives to cut bras, biting breasts until they bled. His signature, a blend of sadism and control, often ejaculating on their faces as a final humiliation. Police linked the attacks via DNA, but Bernardo evaded, his clean-cut image shielding him. Then, in October 1987, he met Carla Homolka at a convention. Their chemistry instant, a bond forged in shared depravity. Carla, abused by past boyfriends, craved submission while Paul demanded dominance. By 1990, engaged, they plotted Tammy Homolka's rape. Carla, jealous of Paul's lust for her 15-year-old sister, drugged Tammy with halcyon and halothane on December 23, 1990. As Tammy lay unconscious, Paul raped her vaginally and anally, Carla holding the cloth to her face, the girl's body convulsing as she aspirated vomit, dying in a pool of her own fluids, burns from the anesthetic scarring her cheeks. They dressed her, called 911, claiming an accident, the coroner ruling it choking, no autopsy probing deeper. The couple's unique, disturbing signature was their videotaped atrocities, a cinematic record of explicit torture that made their crimes unforgettable. After Tammy, they married in June 1991, a lavish Niagara Falls wedding. But Paul's rapes continued, Carla complicit. On April 16, 1992, they abducted Kristen French, 15, from a church parking lot, Carla waving a map as bait. At their Port Dalhousie home, Kristen endured 3 days of hell, bound with cords that cut her wrists bloody, raped repeatedly by Paul as Carla filmed, his penis thrusting violently, Kristen's cries echoing off walls. They forced her to perform oral sex, urine in her mouth as punishment when she resisted, her body bruised from beatings, hair shorn in humiliation. On Easter Sunday, Paul strangled her with a noose, her face turning blue, eyes bulging as life faded, her body dumped naked in Burlington, legs splayed in rigor. Leslie Mahaffey, 14, abducted June 15, 1991, suffered similarly, drugged, blindfolded, raped for 24 hours, Paul sodomizing her until she bled, Carla holding the camera stick. Leslie begged for mercy, but Paul strangled her, the cord biting into her neck, blood vessels bursting. They dismembered her in the basement bathtub, sawing through limbs with a circular saw, bones cracking wetly, flesh sloughing off in chunks, encasing parts in concrete blocks dumped in Lake Gibson. The tapes, hidden in ceiling lights, captured every grunt, every tear, a sadistic archive that turned their home into a studio of death. For Bernardo, the known murders stopped at 3, but rapes numbered over 20, each a layer of escalating explicitness, from outdoor assaults to prolonged captivity. Bernardo's mastery of evasion lay in his normalcy and Carla's complicity, a duo that deflected suspicion like a mirror. As the schoolgirl killer, he dumped bodies strategically, Leslie near a lover's lane, Kristen close to Leslie's grave as a taunt. Police had his DNA from rape since 1990, but delayed profiling until 1993, interviewing him in 1993, but dismissing the polite account. Carla, battered by Paul, fists to her face, black eyes, hidden by makeup, finally cracked after his January 1993 arrest for battery, tipping police to the tapes in May. Yet, her deal with the devil in March 1993, 12 years for manslaughter in exchange for testimony, came before the tapes surfaced, a prosecutorial blunder that spared her full accountability. Bernardo hid the videos in a bathroom light fixture, discovered only after 71 days of searches, post-deal, their contents explicit, Carla licking Paul's semen from Tammy's corpse, the couple directing Kristen's degradation like directors. The evasion nearly worked. Without Carla's turn, the tapes might have stayed hidden, Bernardo free to prowl. The capture came in February 1993, when DNA from a 1990 rape matched Bernardo's sample. Volunteered casually. Arrested February 17th, he denied everything. But Carla's testimony sealed his fate. The 1995 trial was a spectacle. The tapes played behind screens. Jurors vomiting at the sights. Carla's voice cooing as Paul violated the girls, their bodies convulsing in agony. Convicted September 1st, 1995, of 2 murders, 9 rapes, and more, declared a dangerous offender. He received life without parole for 25 years. Carla served 12 years, released July 4, 2005, changing her name to Leanne Teal, marrying her lawyer's brother, having 3 children, and living in Quebec. Spotted volunteering at her kids' school in 2017, sparking outrage. Bernardo's final fate twisted in May 2023, transferred from Millhaven's maximum security isolation, where he endured 23-hour lockdowns, his only company, the ghosts of his deeds, to La Macaza Institution, to Al Macaza Institution, a medium security Quebec prison with communal living and program. As of August 2025, he's still there. Denied parole in November 2024 for the 3rd time, the board citing his narcissism and lack of remorse. The move, deemed low risk for escape or violence, ignited fury. Victims' families like Donna French decrying it as a vacation. misunderstanding medium security's focus on rehabilitation over punishment. Yet, revelations worsened. In 2024, reports surfaced of Bernardo's prison writings, explicit fantasies mirroring his crimes, shared with inmates, prompting calls for his return to Mac. Carla's life, remarried and free, fuels debates on her deal, her children's innocence clashing with her past. The saga keeps darkening. Bernardo's transfer, a symbol of systemic leniency, his evil a stain that time can't wash away, lingering in the low country mists as another layer of infamy unfolds. In December of 1983, the mummified body of 13-year-old Teresa Fury was discovered, hidden in a crawl space within an apartment in Paterson, New Jersey. A horrific tale of torture and long-term abduction was uncovered in the investigation. In the summer and fall of 1981, 35-year-old Marie Moore lived in New Jersey with her 12-year-old daughter, Tammy Moore, a 12-year-old daughter of a friend, Harriet Bain, and 50-year-old Mary Gardello, who had been a longtime friend of Marie Moore's. Through that summer, multiple neighborhood children began hanging out at Marie Moore's home daily, and she took them on beach trips, amusement parks, and was generally beloved by the group of unrelated children, who even called her Ma. These included 14-year-old Ricky Flores, who was dating Tammy Moore, 13-year-old Luis Montaldo, and the victim Teresa Fury, who was 12 years old in the summer of 1981. In September of 1981, Marie Moore told the children that her ex-husband was actually the famous singer Billy Joel. Marie told them that he was Tammy's father and that Billy Joel had recently contacted Marie to express displeasure at the way the household was being run. The children were confused, of course. During this announcement, Marie received a telephone call, which she answered in front of the children. Claiming the caller was Billy Joel, Marie stated that Billy Joel would now be stepping in to straighten out the situation. According to Marie, Billy had decided that 14-year-old Ricky Flores would be given control of the house as a way to test his suitability to marry Tammy Moore one day. Marie said that Billy Joel would be passing along instructions and chores to the children, and any disobedience would cause Billy Joel to set bombs off in the house. In addition, Marie said that Billy Joel was associated with the mafia, and if the children told their families or any other outsider what was happening, men from the mafia would hurt the families. She then instructed them that they would be required to meet at the Moore house every day after school. Despite the initial confusion, Marie Moore's adult roommate confirmed to the children that Billy Joel was real and was involved with Marie. It is unclear exactly what had happened, but Mary believed she had actually met Billy Joel while in California with Marie Moore in the past. Of course, that was not Billy Joel, but whoever he was scared Mary Gardello to the point that when she learned of the initial recontact in 1981, she was visibly shaken. The children believed everything. The fact that they thought Marie was receiving calls also helped to convince them. But Marie had learned how to manipulate the phone lines in this way while she worked at a phone company in the past. The patterns of abuse and torture began almost immediately. Every day, when the children arrived at Marie Moore's home, she would receive a call from Billy Joel. While on the call, she would have the children repeat instructions given by Billy Joel, and when they inevitably recited something incorrectly, Marie told Ricky Flores that Billy Joel wanted him to beat the children with a wiffle ball bat. After this beating, the children completed the daily chores and another prearranged phone call would occur. Marie would direct Ricky to check the children's chores, and when he reported they did a good job, she would say that Billy Joel disagreed on the phone, and then Ricky would say that yes, the children did do something incorrectly or inadequate. This was followed by further directed beating with the bat. Unlike Sylvia Likens, the abuse and torture was not directed at a single child. In fact, eventually everyone was physically injured and tortured. Even 50-year-old Mary Gardella was soon a target, with Marie claiming that Billy Joel said she was nosy and needed to be punished. This occurred when Mary attempted to interfere when Harriet was being beaten. Later, Marie Moore would claim that Billy Joel wanted her punished as well, and so Ricky dutifully beat her as instructed. During this time, the only children who lived full-time in the home were 12-year-olds Tammy Moore and Harriet Bain. Harriet was initially more abused than the other children due to the constant presence, but all the children were punished upon their daily schedules. Eventually, Marie Moore became concerned that Luis Montalvo's parents would begin to get suspicious. He was coming to the Moore home daily, but would return to obey his parents' curfews. In October 1981, Marie Moore claimed that Billy Joel wanted Louis to go home and never return. However, Ricky was instructed to give him a final beating as a reminder to never mention the crimes to outsiders. After leaving with a bloody nose, Louis never returned and kept his silence. At that time, he was 13 years old. Ricky Flores had caring parents, and they began to worry about what their son was doing. They discovered that he had not been attending school at all, and the school told them that Ricky's mother had called to excuse his absences, claiming that Ricky had injured his back. This was Marie Moore, impersonating Ricky's real mother. In response, Ricky's parents grounded him strictly and began taking him back and forth to school each day. Ricky's mother later said that she would see Marie Moore following them. After a couple weeks of Ricky being under his parents' care, Marie Moore approached Ricky when he was alone and claimed that Billy Joel demanded that Ricky move in with Marie to help her with an addiction to drugs. Ricky believed this and ran away, moving into Marie's home full-time, despite multiple attempts to visit and get her son back. Ricky's mother ultimately failed to save him. She did report the situation to the police, who investigated with CPS. Unfortunately, every time they showed up to Marie's home, she hid in a crawl space, and eventually the authorities closed any investigation. During this time, the overall bizarre story becomes worse. Marie Moore claimed that Billy Joel had men kidnap her and give her an injection that would allow him to possess her body. This ended the fake phone calls. The victims would later report that Marie would change her voice while she was speaking as Billy Joel, and also some behaviors. The children and Mary Gardella all fully believed this situation. In the meantime, the beatings became more vicious. Claiming that the bat was not hurting the children enough, Marie Moore said that Ricky Flores needed to use heavy medical textbooks. It was in this time period that she also began demanding Ricky punish her as well. While Marie Moore and Ricky Flores did not initially have a sexual relationship, eventually, Ricky was instructed that he was not to be with Tammy Moore any longer, and they apparently began sleeping together. In late November 1981, a couple months after the nightmare started, Harriet Bain escaped the home after several failed attempts. She was found on the streets barefoot and without a jacket, so police interviewed her and took her to the hospital. where proof of extreme physical abuse required a week-long hospitalization. Eventually, Harriet told social workers and authorities about the home she had escaped, including the address and names of Marie Moore and Ricky Flore. The authorities went to interview Marie Moore, who claimed that Harriet was a profoundly troubled child and claimed that she was self-harming. For some reason, the authorities believed that Marie Moore's calm demeanor was more proof of her innocence than the physical scars on Harriet's body proved guilt. They decided to make a suggestion that Harriet not go back to the home, and then committed her for psychiatric evaluation in a 90-day program. During that time, she reported more details to social workers, who simply advised Harriet should not return to the Moore house, and also sent Harriet to a 90-day program for diagnosis of potential mental disorders. The social workers had interviewed Marie Moore, and they were impressed with Moore's calm demeanor while claiming Harriet had severe behavioral and self-harm issues. After Harriet was removed from the home, Marie Moore told Ricky Flores that the girl had been run over by Billy Joel for her disobedience. Believing this, Ricky apparently thought it proved the reach of Billy Joel's power and influence, and thus he became even more loyal to Marie Moore. Two main victims remained in the home after Harriet's escape: 12-year-old Teresa Fury and 50-year-old Mary Gardullo. At some time in late 1981, the household moved to a new residence that was owned by a friend of Marie, Ferdinando Ragusa. Marie Moore claimed that Ragusa was Tammy's grandfather. The torture became more severe against Teresa and Mary. Sexual humiliation and torture were introduced. A common punishment would include thumb cuffing, where Mary and Teresa would be bound by tying their thumb to their big toe while laying on their stomach, and then left them lay nude for hours. Beatings continued with heavy books, a bat, kicks and punches, and even cigarette burns. On Memorial Day 1982, Mary Gardullo escaped by telling Marie that she wanted to work some extra time to provide more money to the household. Instead, she contacted her siblings, who came and got her, and then took her to the police. Detective Tom Kerwin from the Toms River Police Department interviewed Mary for several hours. He described her as being in very poor shape, very distraught, and emotionally destroyed, and that she was in very, very poor physical condition. He convinced her to seek medical attention. She did tell the authorities of the torture she had endured under Ricky Flores, but named Marie Moore as someone who knew what was happening, and she did not mention Billy Joel at all. She also gave the address and alerted the police that Teresa Fury was still in the home and enduring torture. The authorities eventually notified the Patterson Police Department, who were the jurisdiction of the apartment's address. A social worker was assigned, who interviewed both Teresa Fury and Tammy Moore while they were in school. They both denied the allegations of abuse, but did admit they had seen Ricky Flores at the Moore home. When the social worker interviewed Marie Moore, Marie denied the accusations and said that Teresa was her godchild and that she would never harm her. At first, she denied any involvement at all with Ricky, but did admit that he had been in the home sometimes after the social worker told Marie the girls had already told them about Ricky's presence. Police also attempted to visit the residence. On June 7, 1982, the social worker went to the home with police, and Teresa tried to escape when she saw them. They caught her and tried to question her again, but she again denied all the allegations of physical or sexual abuse. Eventually, they convinced her to disrobe and show her body, which displayed multiple bruises and injuries. Expressing surprise, both Teresa and Moore claimed that they didn't know how the injuries had occurred, but they must have happened that day at school. The authorities interviewed Harriet again, who repeated her story. They interviewed Teresa and Harriet together. Eventually, Teresa did admit that there was abuse in the homes, but put all blame on Ricky Flores and claimed that Marie Moore was entirely innocent of all allegation. On June 10, 1982, Marie Moore was again interviewed and again denied all claims of abuse. However, she was reminded of the statements Mary Gardello had already made, and eventually admitted that she knew of some abuse, but that she was also a victim, not a perpetrator. After learning about Luis Montalvo, the police attempted to interview him as well. Unfortunately, they did not know that Marie Moore had already approached Luis and reminded him of the way Billy Joel would retaliate if Luis said anything at all about the household. In this final period, Teresa was the final remaining victim. At first, she maintained the daily instruction to present to the home after school, but still technically lived with her parents. On June 9, 1982, she was examined by a doctor who remarked on the obvious signs of abuse and torture she had been suffering. It is unclear how it happened or what Teresa's parents or guardians knew, but she became an official permanent resident of the Moore home on September 22, 1982. Court reports say that Teresa's grandmother called Marie Moore and told Marie that social services were contacting them and that they wanted to speak with Teresa. Somehow, Marie convinced the girl and her guardian, S, that she needed to live with Marie. The torture continued and worsened. By September 1982, the household consisted of Marie Moore, Ricky Flores, Tammy Moore, and Teresa. During the days, Teresa was cuffed to a hook on the kitchen wall. At nights, she would be cuffed to the bathtub. In addition to sexual abuse from Ricky Flores, Marie Moore would also take Teresa to Ferdinando Ragusa and force her to perform oral sex on the elderly man. They began to starve Teresa and also would not allow her to use the toilet. At first, they would provide a pot, but later made her wear disposable diapers, which were the only thing she was allowed to wear. Teresa died in January of 1983 at 13 years old. The day of her death, she had slipped into unconsciousness during the abuse. Feeling that she was faking when she began to have seizures, Marie told Ricky to thumb cuff her again and leave her. The next day, they tried to get her to stand up and move to the customary cuffing spot, but Teresa would not move. After dropping her so that she hit her head, they then pushed on her stomach, which made a sound like going to the bathroom, and they believed this noise meant she was dead. They sent Tammy to school and wrapped Teresa's body in garbage bags and duct tape, eventually shoving her into the crawl space of the wall. Later, they would tell Tammy Moore that they had sent Teresa's body to Billy Joel in Boston. It is unclear when Teresa died, but in mid-1983, the household moved again, and the body was transported to the new apartment, where it was hidden again in a crawl space until the December 1983 discovery by police. Teresa's grandmother spoke with Marie Moore periodically during this time. The last known conversation was in September 1983, when Marie Moore asked Teresa's grandmother if she had heard from Teresa. In July of 1983, Ricky Flores was working at a job when he saw his brother Philip. He tried to run, but his brother chased him after confirming it was indeed Ricky. Unable to catch him, Philip went and got his mother, who said she knew Ricky would be calling. She asked Philip to place a copy of a police report she had made against Ricky in the mailbox at Marie Moore's home. The next time she saw Ricky was July 12, 1983, in the police station after the cops arrested him for the prior charges of abuse and assault. They found him hiding under the kitchen sink of the Moore home, and they arrested him and also took Marie Moore in for questioning. Marie now claimed to the cops that she kept Ricky in her home only because Ricky would have his mafia boss named Don DeMarco threaten to harm her and her daughter. The detectives did not believe this. Eventually, Marie Moore admitted that there had been violence in the household, but claimed Ricky Flores was a sweet, innocent boy, and that Mary Gardella had instigated the violence by interfering too much. She was questioned about Teresa, who Marie claimed no knowledge about, other than repeating how much she cared for the girl and hoped she was safe. For some reason, the detectives charged her with having a sexual relationship with a minor, but did not pursue more serious charges, and she was free. Meanwhile, Ricky Flores went back to live with his family and ceased contact with Marie Moore. At first, she attempted to get him to come back, and then began to plan ways to ensure he would not talk about what had really happened. She somehow met others she was able to convince to move in with her, a couple named Jorge and Lydia, both 20 years old, and their 2 young children, ages 2 and 1. Again, Marie began telling Jorge and Lydia about Billy Joel and started doing the telephone stunts again. This time, she did not resort to abuse, but she did eventually tell them that she had received the injection that allowed Billy Joel to manifest in her body. Jorge did not believe this, but Lydia did, and Lydia's sister eventually joined the group and also believed. The new group began to help her make plans on keeping Ricky Flores quiet, but Jorge's disbelief did not allow the situation to explode as before. Still, they did remain and later told police about overhearing the coaching that Marie would give to Tammy. She wanted Tammy to claim that she had witnessed Ricky Flores beat Teresa to death, and also that he raped Tammy. Did give a statement to the police with these claims, and the police searched the property owned by Ferdinando Ragusa. Moore and Tammy kept trying to point to a depression in the backyard, claiming it could be where Teresa's body was buried. They did find evidence of lime and a strong foul smell, but did not find any body. They made plans to come again and search the yard on December 22nd, 1983. However, when no one showed up, Ferdinando Ragusa called the police department and inquired about when they would be coming. Detectives told him that they didn't think they would follow through and would probably be closing the investigation, which was a lie. In a few minutes, Marie Moore called the detectives to ask about whether they were closing the investigation into Ricky's supposed murder of Teresa, and they said that they would, hoping to see if anything would happen. Marie Moore then showed up at the police department with a piece of bloodied insulation, and the detectives then went to search the property again. During the search, Moore and Ragusa finally exposed the crawl space where Teresa's body was discovered. Autopsy showed that Teresa's fatal wound was the blow to her head, but that death was not instant. Instead, the blood and other physical evidence indicated she would have been comatose, but alive for up to 8 hours after she had been wrapped in tape, slowly suffocating as her brain swelled. Though there was not enough soft tissue to prove beyond a doubt that the tape and plastic caused fatal suffocation, the medical testimony made it clear that it was very possible, especially with the signs of life beyond the initial blow to her head. Many interviews were conducted with different attempts by Marie Moore to evade blame. She claimed Billy Joel was never real, but then claimed that he was a real personality that Ricky Flores would bring out of her. According to her, Billy had no part in Teresa's death and had not appeared after Ricky Flores was out of her life. She repeatedly insisted that Ricky Flores murdered Teresa alone and without influence. The detectives charged Marie Moore with the murder of Teresa Flores on December 28, 1983. A decision was made to charge Ricky Flores as a juvenile with maximum prison sentence of only 3 years. In return for this, Ricky Flores agreed to testify fully against Marie Moore. In addition, the other surviving victims would testify about the events that happened under the control and influence of Marie Moore. This included Harriet Bain, Louis Montalvo, Tammy Moore, and Mary Gardello. Mary Moore was charged with murder and other violent offenses against all the victims. On November 19, 1984, the jury returned a sentence of death after deliberation. In 1988, her death sentence was challenged and overturned, and it seems like they were instructed to retry her on the charge of homicide. They left intact the charges against her for kidnapping, attempted murder, terroristic threatening, and aggravated assault, for which she had been sentenced to 87.5 years without possibility of parole. On Halloween morning, October 31st, 1969, 2 boys walked through a wooded field near the Oyster Bar restaurant in St. Petersburg, Florida. They were looking for adventure. Instead, they found a big black trunk. It was old and heavy with brass fittings, plastic sheeting wrapped around it. A bad smell came from inside. The boys ran to tell adults. Police came fast. They opened the trunk. Inside was a woman's body. She was wrapped in a large plastic bag like trash. Her skin was dark from rot. Bugs crawled on her. She wore only a pajama top, no pants or underwear. Her body was bent to fit the trunk. Blood had dried on her. The police saw bad injuries. Her head had big cuts and bruises. Someone hit her hard, maybe with a heavy thing. Her skull was broken in places. Brain matter had leaked out before death. Her neck had marks from strangling. A man's bolo tie was around her throat. It was Western style with a silver slide. The cord dug deep into her skin. It cut her windpipe. Blood vessels in her eyes burst from the pressure. She gasped for air before she died. Her face was purple and swollen. Her tongue stuck out a little. The killer tied it tight. She was about 5 feet 5 inches tall. She weighed around 140 pounds. Her hair was brown. Her age looked like 29 to 35, but she was really 41. Her body had been dead for days, maybe a week. The heat made it rot fast. Fluids leaked from her mouth and nose. Her belly was bloated from gas. Skin peeled off in places. Police took her to the morgue. They did an autopsy. The doctor cut her open. Her lungs were full of blood. She choked while alive. Her liver and kidneys had damage from the beating. No drugs in her system. No alcohol. She was healthy before the attack, but now she was just a body with no name. Police called her the Trunk Lady. They looked for clues. The trunk was from the 1940s. The trunk was from the 1900s. It had no fingerprints. The plastic bag was common. The bolo tie was a lead, but no one knew her. She had no ID. Her teeth had fillings, but no match in records. Police thought she was from out of town. Maybe a visitor. They put her picture in newspapers. It was a drawing. Her real face was too bad to show. No one called. The case went cold. Her body stayed in a grave with no name for 53 years. The trunk lady stayed a mystery. Police kept her file open, but time passed. In the 1970s, DNA was not used. They had her blood type, O positive, common. They had her fingerprints, but no match. The bolo tie was from the West, maybe Texas or Arizona, but no luck. Years went by. In 2022, police tried new ways. They used DNA. They took samples from her bones. It was old DNA. Hard to read, but labs got better. They sent it to a company called Offram. It does genealogy. They build family trees from DNA. They match it to people who test for fun, like on Ancestry. In May 2023, they got a hit. The trunk lady was Sylvia June Atherton. She was born on June 6, 1928, in Chicago. Her life was hard. She married young. Her husband was Gerald Atherton. He worked in mines. They moved a lot, from Chicago to Arizona. Sylvia was a mom at home. She loved her kids, but in 1969, she left Tucson, maybe for a trip or to meet someone. No one knows why she went to Florida. She had no family there, no friends. Police think she came by bus or car, but no records. Her family did not report her missing. Maybe they thought she ran away or died far or... Sylvia was last seen alive in Arizona. Then she ended up dead in Florida. How? Who killed her? The killer knew her. The attack was personal. He hit her head many times, rage, then strangled her slow. He wanted her to suffer. He took off her pants, maybe raped, but no semen found. The body was too rotted. He put her in the trunk to hide her. He drove to the field. It was near a busy road, but hidden in trees. He left her there to rot. Sylvia June Atherton was a normal mom. She had brown hair and green eyes. She liked to sew and cook. Her kids were young when she died. The oldest was 14. The youngest was 5. Their names were Gerald Jr., Donna, Kimberly, Krista, and Karen. After Sylvia vanished, the family fell apart. Gerald Sr. could not care for them alone. The kids went to foster homes or with relatives. The 2 sons are alive now. Police found them. Gerald Jr. is in his 60s. He lives in Arizona. He remembers his mom. She was kind, but he does not know who killed her. The daughters are missing. Police cannot find them. Kimberly, Krista, and Karen. They changed names maybe, or moved far. Police asked for help. If you know them, they want to tell the daughters about their mom, and maybe learn more about the murder. Sylvia's body is still in Florida, in an unmarked grave. Now they know her name. They can put it on the stone. But the killer is unknown. He could be dead now, or old. Police think he was from Arizona, or knew Sylvia there. The bolo tie is a clue. It has a scorpion on it, common in the Southwest. Maybe he followed her to Florida, or met her there. No one saw a fight. No screams heard. The field was empty. Police looked for cars, but it was 1969. No cameras, no phones to track. The case stayed cold for 53 years. Police tried many times. In 1980s, they dug up her body. They looked at bones again. No new clues. In 1990s, they used computers. Still nothing. In 2010, they put her on TV shows. like America's Most Wanted. Drawings of her face, what she looked like alive. Tips came in, but wrong. Then DNA changed everything. But wrong. Then DNA changed everything. Althram used new tech. They built her family tree. They found cousins. The cousins gave DNA. It matched. Sylvia's sister was dead, but her kids helped. They said Sylvia left Tucson in 1969. She took a bus, maybe, to visit family in Chicago. But she never got there. Somewhere, she met her killer. Maybe in Florida, or on the way. Police think it was someone she knew. The way he hurt her was angry, like a fight with a lover or friend. He hit her face many times, broke her nose, her eyes swelled shut. Then he tied the bolo tie around her neck. He pulled hard. She clawed at it. Her nails broke. Skin under them was his, but no DNA left now. He stuffed her in the trunk. Her body folded, knees to chest. He wrapped her in plastic to stop the smell. He drove to the field. It was night. He dragged the trunk into trees. Leaves covered it. He left. No one saw. Sylvia June Atherton was from a big family. She had brothers and sisters in Chicago. She moved to Arizona for her husband's job. She had 5 kids fast. Life was hard. Money was tight. Maybe she left to start new, or to see a man. Police do not know. She read stories, made cookies, but she was sad sometimes. Her husband drank. They fought. Maybe she ran from that. In Florida, she died alone. No one looked for her. Her kids thought she left them. They grew up hurt. The daughters changed names. Maybe married. Police search records, birth certificates, marriage papers, social media, but nothing yet. They asked the public, if you are Kimberly, Krista, or Karen Atherton from Tucson, born in 1950s or 1960s, call St. Petersburg Police. They want to give closure and find the killer. The case is open. DNA might help more. Maybe the killer's family has clues, or his DNA is in a database. The Trunk Lady case shows how long secrets stay hidden. 53 years. Technology found her name. 53 years. Technology. Sylvia June Atherton, mother of 5, from Tucson, killed in Florida, strangled and beaten, body in a trunk. Police need help to solve the murder, to find her daughters. The bolo tie is still evidence. Silver scorpion, western style. Maybe someone remembers it. The trunk too, black with brass, from 1940s. Sylvia's story is sad. She wanted better life. Ended in pain. Her head bashed. Neck cut by cord. Blood in her lungs. Alone in dark trunk. Rotting for days. Now she has a name. But no justice yet. The rain falls on St. Petersburg, washing old blood away. But the mystery stays, like a ghost, waiting for answers. The shadows linger as another tale waits to stir. In the busy city of Busan, South Korea, a 23-year-old woman named Jong Yoo-jung lived a quiet life with her grandfather. She had no job and few friends. She spent her days watching true crime shows and reading books about murder. She searched online for things like how to kill without leaving a body and perfect murder. John wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. She dreamed of doing the perfect crime. On May 26, 2023, she made her plan real. She used an app called Dangin to post an ad. She said she was a mom, looking for an English tutor for her kids. A 26-year-old woman named Lee, answered the aunt. Lee was kind and taught English part-time. She lived alone in a small apartment. Jong set up a meeting at Lee's home that evening. Before going, Jong rented a high school uniform online. She wore it even though she said she was a mom of school kids. No one knows why she chose the uniform. Maybe she wanted to look young and harmless. Jong took a taxi to Lee's place. She carried nothing special at first. When Lee opened the door, Jang acted nice. They talked about English lessons, but Jong had a knife hidden. Suddenly, she attacked. She stabbed Lee more than 100 times. The knife went into Lee's chest, neck, and stomach. Blood sprayed everywhere. Lee's lungs filled with blood. She gasped and tried to fight back. Her hands had cuts from grabbing the blade. Blood poured from her mouth. She fell to the floor. Her body shook as she died. The apartment was full of blood. Walls and floor were red. Jong stood there, covered in blood. Her heart beat. After the kill, Jong did not run. She cleaned herself a little. She left the body and went home by taxi. At home, she got a big suitcase and bags. She went to a store. She bought bleach, trash bags, and a long knife for cutting fish. It was a sashimi knife with a sharp blade. She took another taxi back to Lee's apartment. No one saw her go in. Inside, Jong started to cut the body. She took off Lee's clothes. The body was cold and stiff. Jong used the sashimi knife to cut Lee's arms and legs. The blade went through skin and muscle. Bones cracked loud. Blood that was left came out. Jong cut open Lee's belly. She took out the organs like heart, liver, and intestines. They were wet and slippery. She said later, she did this to make the body lighter. The smell was bad, like metal and rot. Jong put the parts in bags. She filled the suitcase with the torso and head. Lee's face was pale. Her eyes were open and empty. Jong used bleach to clean the floor. She wiped blood from walls, but some stains stayed. She put the bags and suitcase outside. She called a taxi. The driver helped with the heavy suitcase. He saw blood drip from it. He thought it was strange. Jong said it was paint, but the driver did not believe her. He drove her to the Yangsan River. It was dark. Jong got out. She threw some bags into the water. The river took them away. She left the suitcase on the riverbank. She planned to bury it but got scared. The taxi driver called the police. He said the woman was odd and the suitcase had blood. Police went to the river fast. They found the suitcase. Inside was Lee's cut body. The head was there with empty eye. The torso had stab holes everywhere. Skin was white from no blood. Police looked for Jong. They checked taxi records. They found her home. They arrested her that night. At first, Jong lied. She said it was an accident. She said Lee attacked her. But police looked at her phone and computer. They saw her searches about murder, how to hide a body, best way to kill, true crime stories. She watched shows like Killing Eve and Dexter. She read books about killing. Police asked more questions. Jong broke down. She said she wanted to try murder. I was curious what it felt like to kill someone. She said she picked Lee because she was alone and easy. Jong had no friends. Her family was far away. She failed at jobs. Her English was bad. She felt like a failure. Killing made her feel strong. Police found the rest of the body in the river. Arms and legs in bags. Organs gone. Fish ate some parts. The body was in pieces. Lee's family cried when they heard. She was a good teacher. She helped kids learn English. Now she was gone. Joan went to court. Her trial started in June 2023. She was 23. The judge was strict. Prosecutors said she planned it all. They showed her phone searches. They said she had no sorry feeling. Joan's lawyer said she had mental problems. She was lonely and sad, but the judge did not care. On November 24, 2023, the court gave her life in prison. No chance to get out. They said she was dangerous. She wanted to kill for fun. The court said she hurt the body after death. That was bad too. Joan did not cry. She looked empty. Lee's family felt a little better, but they still hurt. Joan is in prison now. She will stay there forever. The case shocked South Korea. People talked about true crime shows. Do they make people want to kill? Experts say no. Most fans do not kill. But Joan was different. She had no life, no job, no love. Killing was her way to feel something. The police worked fast. The taxi driver helped a lot. If he did not call, Joan might have hidden the body better. The river would take all parts. No one would know. The story is sad and scary. A young woman killed another for no reason, just to try it. Lee's life ended in pain. Stabbed over 100 times. Her body cut like meat. Blood everywhere. Joan's hands were red. She felt no shame at first, only when caught. Now she sits in a cell, alone like before. The rain falls on Busan, washing the river clean, but the blood stain stays in people's minds. Joan's curiosity killed an innocent woman. It shows how an empty life can turn dark. The end is not happy. Lee is gone. Her family cries. Joan is locked away. The story warns us. True crime is fun to watch, but for some, it becomes real, too real. The shadows linger as another tale waits to stir. In the misty dawn of May 28, 2011, 20-year-old Maddie Scott vanished from a remote campsite at Hogsback Lake, about 25 kilometers southeast of Vanderhoof, British Columbia, a small logging town where everyone knew her as the vibrant town where everyone knew her as the vibrant, creative girl with a camera always in hand. Maddie, born in 1991, had grown up in Vanderhoof, a close-knit community of 4,346 souls, nestled in the Nechako Plateau, where she was remembered for her love of family, friends, and sports, her infectious energy lighting up hockey rinks and photography sessions. Born that Friday night, she drove her black Ford F-150 to the lake for a friend's birthday party, a casual gathering of young locals around a campfire, beers flowing under the stars. The site was rugged, dirt roads winding through dense forests, the lake's dark waters reflecting the moon. Maddie set up her tent, joined the laughter, but as the night wore on, the party turned rowdy, fights breaking out, music blaring from trucks. Witnesses last saw her around 3 a.m., perhaps retreating to her tent amid the chaos, her iPhone and truck keys with her. By morning, the campsite was empty, her tent and truck abandoned. No sign of struggle, but an eerie silence that hinted at something sinister. Her family, alarmed when she didn't return home, reported her missing, sparking one of British Columbia's most exhaustive searches. Helicopters scanned the lake's depths. Divers plunged into its cold waters. Ground teams combed the forest for miles, but Maddie was gone. Her disappearance, a void that swallowed the town in grief and suspicion. Maddie's life before that night was one of promise and passion, making her vanishing all the more inexplicable. Raised by her parents, Eldon and Dawn Scott, in a loving home, she was the middle child of three daughters, known for her artistic soul, capturing sunsets over the Nechako River with her camera, her photos a testament to her eye for beauty. She worked at a local mill, saving for adventures, her dreams far beyond Vanderhoof's timber mills and vast wilderness. The party at Hogsback was meant to be a break, a chance to unwind with friends, but it became her last known location. The descent into foul play began subtly. Rumors swirled of a fight at the party, perhaps over drugs or jealousy, but no concrete leads emerged. Police interviewed attendees, many intoxicated that night, their memories foggy, but whispers of a dark figure or vehicle lingering near the campsite fueled speculation. For 12 years, the case haunted the region. Billboards pleading for tips, a $100,000 reward offered by her family, searches yielding nothing but false hope. Maddie's parents clung to the possibility she was alive, held captive or amnesiac, but the wilderness around Vanderhoof, dense pines hiding secrets, the lake's depths unforgiving, seemed to swallow her whole. What made Maddie's case so disturbingly unforgettable was the unique signature of her disappearance. A young woman erased from a public gathering without a trace, her belongings left as if she simply stepped into the shadows. The campsite, a popular spot for locals, was alive with dozens that night, yet no one saw her leave or heard a struggle. Her tent stood untouched, sleeping bag unruffled, her black Ford F-150 parked nearby, keys and iPhone missing, but no signs of forced entry or blood. The explicit mystery lay in the silence, no screams piercing the night, no footprints leading into the woods, just the eerie calm of the lake lapping at the shore. Police theorized she wandered off intoxicated or met foul play from someone at the party, perhaps drugged and abducted, her body disposed in the lake's murky depths or buried in the surrounding forests where scavengers would scatter remains. For years, divers probed the lake, finding sunken vehicles but no body, while ground radar scanned for shallow graves, turning up roots and rock. The signature wasn't graphic violence, but utter vanishment. A girl full of life, her laughter echoing at the campfire, reduced to a ghost in the mist, her family left with agonizing what if. Explicit in its cruelty was the prolonged torment for her loved ones. Dawn Scott baking cakes on Maddie's birthday each year, Eldon searching the lake alone, the community whispering of cartel involvement or a serial killer preying on the isolated highways. The perpetrator's ability to evade justice for 12 years was a testament to the crime's flawless execution and investigative hurdles in rural British Columbia. Whoever took Maddie struck in the chaos of the party, where alcohol blurred memories and darkness concealed movements. The campsite's remoteness, no CCTV, spotty cell service, meant no digital trail, while the vast wilderness offered endless hiding spots for a body. Police interviewed over 200 people, but alibis held, polygraphs passed, and tips, sightings in Vancouver or Edmonton, led to dead ends. Suspects emerged. A man seen arguing with Maddie, a vehicle lingering nearby, but nothing stuck. The RCMP's major crime unit took over, deploying underwater cameras and cadaver dogs, but the lake's silt and depth thwarted efforts. For years, the case stagnated, classified as suspicious with foul play suspected, but no arrests. The evasion exploited small-town dynamics. Everyone knew each other, yet secrets festered, and police resource limits in a province plagued by missing indigenous women and highway murder. Maddie's family offered a $100,000 reward, billboards dotted highways, but the killer hid in plain sight, perhaps among the partygoers or a passerby drawn to the light. The unraveling came suddenly on May 27, 2023, almost 12 years to the day after her disappearance, when RCMP executed a search warrant at a rural property on the east side of Vanderhoof, about 16 kilometers from the lake. Hours after renewing their appeal for information on the anniversary, police discovered human remains, positively identified as Maddie's by the BC Coroner's Service on May 29th. The property, secured with additional resources, became a hive of activity. Crime scene tape fluttering, excavators digging, officers combing for evidence. The discovery followed a tip or new lead, though details remain sealed. Maddie's family, notified that Sunday, requested privacy, their long vigil ending in grief rather than hope. The site, a remote acreage, suggested the body had been buried or hidden there since 2011, perhaps moved from the lake or woods. No arrests followed, but the find reignited the investigation, with foul play not ruled out. The RCMP's statement emphasized the priority of the case, urging tips to 778, 292, 195,000, 277, 543, 4,000. The timing, days before the anniversary, hinted at a breakthrough from the renewed appeal, perhaps a conscience-stricken witness or digital forensics on old evidence. Maddie's final fate, confirmed after 12 years, brought closure but no justice. Her killer still free as of August 19, 2025. The remains, skeletal from years in the ground, showed no obvious cause of death, but the context screams murder, abducted, likely raped or assaulted. Her body dumped in a shallow grave on private land, dirt packed over her to conceal the secret. The property's owner or associates face scrutiny, but no charges laid. The investigation active and ongoing. Maddie's parents, Eldon and Dawn, who kept her room untouched, now mourn properly, burying her in Vanderhoof Cemetery amid community vigils. The case, covered by CBC and local papers, spurred calls for better missing persons protocols in BC, where the highway of tears claims many lives. Relief comes from ending the search, but unease lingers. Who took Maddie, and why no arrest? Hogsback Lake's shores, once a place of joy, now whisper of unanswered questions. As the rain taps softly against the window, the campsite's fire embers die, a girl's laughter fading into the fog. But another party calls, shadows lurking in the trees, ready to claim the next soul. In the remote deserts of Lucin, Utah, 19-year-old Dylan Rounds vanished from his isolated farm on May 28, 2022, leaving behind a mystery that festered for 2 years, until a damning video from his recovered phone exposed his killer's blood-soaked fate. Dylan, born in 2003 in eastern Idaho, was a hard-working farm boy with big dreams, moving to the barren 640-acre plot in Box Elder County to grow wheat and corn, living alone in a grain silo converted into a makeshift home. The area, a ghost town since the 1930s, was miles from civilization, with no neighbors except squatters on adjacent land. Dylan's life, there was one of solitude and ambition. Tending crops under the relentless sun, his only company his truck, phone, and occasional visits from family. But tension simmered with James Brenner, a 58-year-old drifter squatting on a nearby property. Brenner, a short, wiry man with a criminal past, including assault and drug charges, had clashed with Dylan over property disputes. Dylan accused him of stealing tools and trespassing, while Brenner harbored grudges over Dylan's complaints to authorities. Their final confrontation came days before Dylan's disappearance, with Dylan warning Brenner to stay off his land. On Memorial Day weekend, Dylan texted friends about plans, but after a phone call with his grandmother at 8 a.m. on May 28, he went silent. His descent into oblivion began that morning, likely confronted by Brenner near his silo, the altercation turning violent. Brenner, armed with a .22 caliber rifle, shot Dylan in the head, the bullet piercing his skull, blood spraying as Dylan's body slumped in the dirt, his life ending in a pool of crimson under the Utah sun. What made Dylan's murder so hauntingly unforgettable was the killer's meticulous staging, a signature of deception designed to mimic a voluntary disappearance. Brenner's short stature adjusted Dylan's truck seat forward, washing the vehicle to erase blood traces, leaving it parked neatly at the farm. Dylan's boots were discarded in the dirt near the silo, soles upturned as if he'd walked away barefoot, a bizarre touch to suggest foul play or flight. His phone, the key to unraveling the crime, was tossed into a nearby pond, sinking into the mud where it lay for 2 years, its data preserved in the cold water. The explicit brutality captured on that phone's video, recovered in July 2023, showed Brenner standing over Dylan's dying body, his clothes drenched in blood, face smeared with gore. The camera, likely activated by accident, as Dylan gasped his last breaths, blood bubbling from his mouth, his eyes glazing in shock. Released publicly in March 2025, the footage depicted Brenner wiping his hands, the metallic tang of blood visible in the dim light, Dylan's body twitching in the background. Brenner buried Dylan in a shallow grave on the remote property, covering him with dirt and rocks, the desert winds erasing tracks. This signature wasn't just killing, it was erasure, body hidden, evidence scrubbed, a farm left to whisper secrets in the wind. Brenner's evasion was a bold dance with suspicion, exploiting the isolation of Lucen and his drifter's status to hide in plain sight for nearly a year. After the murder, he continued squatting on the adjacent land, even interacting with Dylan's family during searches, offering vague alibis like being out hunting rabbits. Police questioned him early on due to the feud. Dylan had reported Brenner for trespassing, but with no body and only circumstantial evidence, like the adjusted truck seat fitting Brenner's 5'7" frame, they couldn't charge him. Brenner washed Dylan's truck at a car wash, blood traces lingering in crevices, but initial searches missed them. He discarded the phone in the pond, its location known only to him, and buried Dylan nearby, the grave shallow but concealed by the vast desert scrub. For months, he evaded detection, even as Dylan's family offered $20,000 rewards and drones scanned the area. Charged with unrelated firearm possession in July 2022, after a standoff where he fired at deputies, Brenner remained free on bond, his evasion aided by the rural setting. No CCTV, sparse witnesses, and police focus on other leads like Dylan's phone, pings near the farm. He taunted investigators, denying involvement while living mere miles from the grave. The breakthrough came in March 2023, when Brenner, facing charges, revealed the burial site as part of a plea deal, leading to the recovery of Dylan's skeletal remains on April 18, 2023, scattered by animals but identifiable through dental records, the skull showing a bullet hole, fragments of bone missing from the fatal shot. The unmasking accelerated with the phone's discovery in a pond near the farm in July 2023. Its data recovered despite water damage, revealing the explicit video. Brenner, bloodied and frantic, looming over Dylan as he lay dying. The footage grainy but unmistakable, capturing the murderer's panic as blood dripped from his hands. This evidence, combined with the remains, led to Brenner's arrest on March 3, 2023, for aggravated murder and desecration of a corpse. Interrogated, Brenner initially denied but confessed under pressure, detailing the shooting over a dispute, the explicit act, pulling the trigger, the bullet tearing through Dylan's head, blood and brain matter exploding outward, Dylan's body jerking in death throes. Charged with first-degree murder, Brenner pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in May 2024 as part of a deal, receiving a reduction for revealing the body. The trial in Box Elder County Court, Utah, saw prosecutors present the video, ballistics matching Brenner's gun, and testimony from Dylan's family about the feud. On July 1st, 2024, Brenner, 60, was sentenced to 1 to 15 years for murder, plus consecutive terms for firearm possession, totaling up to 45 years, ensuring he dies in prison. The video's release in March 2025 by Box Elder County showed Brenner cleaning the gun, blood on his arms, a final nail in his coffin. Brenner's final fate is a life behind bars at Utah State Prison, his plea sparing a trial but condemning him to rot. As of August 19, 2025, he serves his sentence, his health declining from age and prison life. Dylan's family found closure in the conviction, burying his remains in Idaho, a memorial at the farm, marking his dreams cut short. The case, covered by Fox 13 and KSL TV, highlighted rural isolation's dangers and law enforcement's persistence. Relief comes from justice served, but unease lingers. As rain falls softly, the farm's dust settles, a boy's boots fading, but another conflict brews, a shadow on the horizon. On the morning of September 14, 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Paul Gosden woke up in his family's modest home on Littlemore Lane in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, England, his mind set on a secret plan that would shatter his loved ones forever. Born July 10, 1993, Andrew was a gifted boy with a quiet intensity, top of his class at Molly Catholic High School, a lover of heavy metal bands like Slipknot and Muse, and a gamer who spent hours immersed in virtual worlds, his room plastered with band posters and stacks of Xbox games. That Friday, he dressed in his school uniform, black blazer, trousers, white shirt, but beneath the routine lurked rebellion. He waited until his parents, Anglican priest Kevin Gosden and speech therapist Glennies, left for work, and his older sister Charlotte headed to school. Andrew emptied his bank account of £200 sterling at an ATM, packed a black canvas bag with his ESP, a Slipknot t-shirt, jeans, and wallet, but left his charger behind, a detail that would haunt investigators. He skipped school for the first time, walking home to change into black jeans and his favorite Slipknot shirt, the band's masked faces a fitting emblem for his vanishing act. At Doncaster Station, he bought a one-way ticket to London King's Cross for £31 sterling 40 pence, refusing the return for just 50p more. His young face captured on CCTV as he boarded the 9:35 a.m. train, headphones in, gazing out at the passing countryside. Arriving in London at 11:20 a.m., he stepped into the bustling station, the last confirmed sighting. His slight 5'3" frame, 8.5 stone build, light brown hair, and distinctive right ear, larger and protruding, lost in the crowd, carrying his bag like any tourist. Andrew's life before that day was one of subtle struggles masked by brilliance, making his disappearance a puzzle that defied life. Raised in a loving Christian home, he excelled academically, earning a place in the gifted program, but friends noted his introversion, his aversion to crowds, and a growing withdrawal, refusing family holidays, skipping meals. His room, a sanctuary of music and games. His parents later revealed he had stopped attending church, perhaps rebelling against their faith, and had no mobile phone, rejecting the one they offered. Theories swirled in the void. Did he run to London for a concert, like the Slipknot gig at the Hammersmith Apollo that weekend, or to meet someone online, his CSP capable of Wi-Fi chat? Or was it suicide? His body never found in the Thames despite searches. The explicit mystery lay in the details left behind. His uniform hidden in the washing machine, bank card unused after withdrawal. No note but a deliberate one-way journey. Kevin and Glenys reported him missing that evening, but police initially treated it as a runaway case, delaying CCTV review for 27 days, by which time King's Cross footage was overwritten, except for one grainy clip of Andrew exiting the station, turning left toward the bustling streets, his expression unreadable. The family's torment deepened as the search yielded nothing, a descent into despair that tested their faith and resolve. Kevin, a devoted father, scoured London streets, posting flyers with Andrew's photo, his oval face, brown eyes, glasses for reading, begging for tips that led nowhere. Glenys clung to hope, imagining him alive somewhere, perhaps amnesiac or held captive. Charlotte, 16 at the time, grappled with guilt, wondering if she missed signs of his unhappiness. The police, criticized for delays, launched Operation Williams, interviewing 500 people, searching canals and parks, but no bodies, no sightings. Andrew had evaporated. Explicit in the agony were the false leads. A 2008 tip from a writer claiming Andrew was at his sister's in Shrewsbury, a hoax. A 2009 letter from someone who knew demanding £5,000, traced to a crank. A 2018 arrest of 2 men in the Vatican for possession of child pornography, one resembling an age-progressed Andrew, but DNA disproved it. Theories proliferated, groomed online, trafficked, or murdered by a predator in London, his body dumped in the Thames or a landfill. Kevin's blog, updated as of August 19, 2025, details his ongoing pain, celebrating Andrew's would-be 32nd birthday in July, with reflections on lost memories, his voice cracking in interviews. "We live in limbo. searching for answers that never come. The case's signature is its utter inexplicability, a disappearance so clean it defies foul play, yet screams suspicion. Andrew's one-way ticket, left behind charger, and lack of bank activity suggests suicide or accident, but no bodies surfaced in London's rivers or parks, despite sonar searches. His PSP, Wi-Fi enabled, hinted at online contacts, but his computer yielded no clues, deleted history, or innocent browsing. Explicit in the enigma are the what-ifs. Did he attend a Slipknot concert, blending into the mosh pit, only to meet harm after, or board a train to Scotland, drawn to family roots? Police ruled out family involvement early. Kevin and Glennie's polygraphed and cleared, but whispers of Andrew's possible homosexuality or depression lingered, unsubstantiated. The 2017 sighting in Lincoln of a young man claiming to be Andrew proved false. Another cruel dash of hope. Kevin's 2025 blog posts reveal his exhaustion, health declining from stress, yet he vows to search until his last breath, organizing vigils where friends share stories of Andrew's quiet humor, his love for Doctor Who and heavy metal. The evasion of resolution persists, a killer or circumstance hiding in shadows for 18 years. If foul play, the perpetrator exploited London's anonymity, Andrew, a provincial boy in a metropolis of 8 million, easy prey for traffickers or predators near King's Cross. Notorious for vice, police reviewed 11,000 hours of CCTV in 2018, finding nothing beyond the station exit. Explicit theories include grooming via online gaming, Andrew meeting a contact who lured him with promises, only to assault and dispose of him in a dumpster or river, body lost to tides. Or a random attack, stabbed in an alley, blood pooling as he gasped, dumped in the Thames, currents carrying him away, no DNA hits, no witnesses. The family's $100,000 reward yielded cranks. Kevin's pleas on podcasts and social media as recent as July 2025 begged for closure, his voice breaking. He's out there, or what's left of him. Andrew's fate remains a tormenting unknown. His poor dad, Kevin, still searching as of August 19, 2025. His blog, a chronicle of grief, health failing but hope. The family marks his 32nd birthday with cake and tears. Charlotte, now in her 30s, carrying the burden. So much doesn't sit well. The one-way ticket, the untouched bank account, the silence. Was it suicide? His body in some forgotten corner of London? Bones bleached? Or murder? His screams lost in the city's roar? The case, detailed in the Boy Who Disappeared documentary, haunts with its unanswered questions. A boy's journey ending in eternal mystery. As the rain falls softly against the window, the train's whistle fades into the distance. A boy's footsteps lost in the crowd. But another child wanders, secrets whispering in the wind.